What is going on, you guys? I am back with another Star Wars video. Alright, so in this one, I'm doing something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. And I've disclosed on this channel that Darth Vader is my favorite character. Well, I'm going from his childhood on Tatooine, right before he was found by Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, to his time in the Jedi Order, and the corruption he faced from the Emperor, becoming Darth Vader, and ultimately his end. This is the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker. Let's get right into it. Our story begins on Tatooine, when Anakin was born to Shmi Skywalker, and he had no father. He was conceived through the midichlorians, which is how the Force works in future Jedi. And he grew up in slavery. And ultimately, because of that, when he was found by Qui-Gon and Padme, Qui-Gon took an interest in him, found out he had the abilities that are only possible through the Force. And so, when he had the chance to, he freed Anakin and brought him to the Jedi Temple to be trained as a Jedi. And ultimately, they at first refused to train Anakin because he was too old. And upon the death of Qui-Gon at the hand of Darth Maul at the end of Phantom Menace, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon's then Padawan, that had advanced to the ranks of Jedi Knight, took Anakin on as his apprentice. And fast forward 10 years, and Anakin is reckless and disobedient. He does not care at all about the rules. And when he has the chance to meet Padme again for the first time in 10 years, he's nervous and excited, which shows that he was in love with Padme, which is forbidden in the Jedi Order because, well, it can lead to distractions and many other complications. And Padme, of course, had these feelings for Anakin in return, but at the same time, she could see that he was reckless and ultimately showed resistance towards actually showing affection toward him at first. And once they were given the opportunity to spend some time together on Naboo, Anakin was nervous, but at the same time, he was angry at the Jedi Order because they refused to, in his eyes, see his excellence, and said that Obi-Wan was overly critical of him, which, of course, was due to his reckless behavior and disobedience towards his master. And ultimately, when it came time to take Padme back to Naboo, this ends up happening. They kiss, something that ultimately Padme regrets, because she's a politician, he's a Jedi, but because their love was so strong for one another, in that moment, they almost didn't care. This immediately was interrupted by Anakin having a dream about his mother dying. And so they both rushed to Tatooine and find out that she was freed and married, but was captured by Sand People and was tortured to almost the brink of death. And by the time Anakin got there, she only had moments to live, and she ultimately dies in his arms. In a fit of rage, Anakin slaughters every last sand person in that camp and returns to Padme and Shmi's new family and buries her. And then he gets word from Mace Windu that Obi-Wan had gone on a mission and ultimately was captured. And so they end up going to that planet to save Obi-Wan, but ultimately they get captured as well. And then here's how the Battle of Geonosis happens. The clone army that the Jedi had allegedly ordered 10 years ago arrives, and during that battle, Count Dooku gets away, but before he can, Anakin and Obi-Wan attack him, and in that fight, Anakin lost an arm. And then after Yoda shows up and battles Count Dooku, he had no choice but to let Count Dooku go, because Count Dooku almost killed Obi-Wan and Anakin, and Yoda had to save them. And so started the Clone Wars. But amidst sort of a new war, Anakin and Padme were married on Naboo. And cut to years later, Anakin is a full-fledged Jedi Knight and a general. They go on a mission to find and rescue the Chancellor, and once again face Count Dooku, and this time Count Dooku meets his end. And once back on the planet of the Jedi Temple, Anakin is given the task to spy on the Chancellor. And it's revealed that the Chancellor is none other than the Emperor, the man that trained Darth Maul and Count Dooku. And because he knows that Anakin is married to Padme, and Anakin has a vision that Padme ends up dying giving birth to their children, he entices Anakin to turn to the dark side to learn a certain ability to save Padme. And when the Jedis go to arrest the Chancellor, the last one standing was Mace Windu. And ultimately, by helping the Chancellor live, Mace Windu was killed. And then started Order 66, the eradication of the Jedi. The only Jedis remaining were Anakin, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and soon-to-be Luke and Leia. Towards the end of Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan faces Anakin on Mustafar, and ultimately Anakin loses, but Obi-Wan spares him. Padme goes on to give birth to her and Anakin's twin children, naming them Luke and Leia, but ultimately dies in childbirth. And at the same time, the Emperor found Anakin on Mustafar, took him back to a laboratory, and began rebuilding him as Darth Vader. And thinking that Padme had died, he learned to cut off all emotion from himself. Cut to years later, and we see that Luke and Leia have both grown up apart. And unaware that Darth Vader is their father, and not knowing that they have the Force, they are fighting against the man that they don't know is their father. And Luke's journey begins when he meets Obi-Wan, now an old man, and trains Luke to be a Jedi. And once they meet on the Death Star, Obi-Wan and Darth Vader face each other. And in an effort to let Luke escape, Obi-Wan sacrifices himself. And ultimately, the attack on the Death Star begins. Darth Vader pursues Luke, unaware that he's his son, but ultimately was thrown off course by Han Solo, and the Death Star was ultimately destroyed during the attack. We then cut to The Empire Strikes Back. Luke and Darth Vader face each other, and Luke, with every ounce of anger he has, faces Darth Vader, wanting to avenge Obi-Wan's death, but ultimately learns that the man that he's facing, the man that he hates so much, is his own father. Cut to Return of the Jedi. Once Luke and Vader meet each other again, they're also in the presence of the Emperor. And the Emperor entices Luke to join the dark side and take his father's place by his side. And in that fight, Luke almost gives in to the dark side, but spares his father, making the Emperor attack Luke, which ultimately brings Darth Vader to his senses, and he saves Luke, but ultimately it leads to his death. Darth Vader asks Luke to please take off his helmet so that he can look upon his son with his own eyes. And by doing so, they make a connection right before his death. And right before they could say much, Darth Vader dies, ending the life of Anakin Skywalker. When looking at Anakin, you can tell right away his character is a tragic one. And once you get past the weird dialogue George Lucas wrote for Anakin, you really see that, yeah, he had a lot of pain hidden deep down inside. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this video, despite the depressing overtone of it. And sorry my voice has been sounding a little shaky. It's just, I woke up and the alarm went off right in my friggin' ear, and so I've been like, but yeah, thanks for stopping by, everyone. I'll see you all next week for the next video. Until then, stay awesome. See ya.